From the moment early humans first looked across the narrow waters of the Mediterranean, the question arose: why, despite the closeness of two great continents, did Africa and Europe never share a natural land bridge? The story begins millions of years before civilizations like Egypt, Greece, or Rome existed, back in an ancient world shaped by drifting continents and restless geological forces. Africa and Europe were once part of vast supercontinents that repeatedly broke apart and collided over Earth's history. When Africa slowly pushed northward toward Europe, driven by the immense power of plate tectonics, the two continents did not rise to meet each other as a solid, walkable connection. Instead, the pressure between them created fierce geological uplift, folded mountains, and deep basins. Over millions of years, this collision formed the towering Alps, the rugged Atlas Mountains, and the underwater ridges of the Mediterranean seafloor, but never a flat land path between the continents. The movement of Earth's crust created a dynamic boundary zone, but the forces shaped it into a sea rather than a bridge. Around 6 million years ago, something extraordinary did happen. The Mediterranean Sea nearly disappeared. This was the Messinian Salinity Crisis, an event when tectonic shifts and falling global sea levels almost sealed the Mediterranean from the Atlantic Ocean. As rainfall evaporated faster than rivers could refill the basin, the Mediterranean shrank into enormous salt plains and deep depressions. During this period, Africa and Europe came closer than ever to having a walkable connection. Massive salt platforms and exposed ridges created dry paths in some places, though not complete or stable enough to form a true land bridge between the two continents. The environment was harsh, almost alien, with huge salt deserts, cliffs over a mile deep, and intense heat. If any connection existed, it was temporary, fragile, and quickly swallowed again when the Atlantic Ocean flooded back through the Strait of Gibraltar about 5.3 million years ago. The refilling, called the Zanclean Flood, was one of the greatest floods in Earth's history, and it restored the Mediterranean Sea permanently. Throughout the ice ages, the world froze and melted again and again, causing oceans to fall and rise by hundreds of feet. Land bridges appeared across many places on Earth: the Bering Strait between Asia and North America, the Sunda Shelf between mainland Asia and the islands of Indonesia, even the British Isles temporarily connected to mainland Europe. But Africa and Europe were different. Even during the coldest glacial periods, when sea levels dropped dramatically, the gaps between Africa and Europe, especially the Strait of Gibraltar and the narrower channels near Sicily and Tunisia, remained too deep to expose land. The seabed between the continents never rose above sea level because the tectonic collision had created steep undersea slopes rather than a shallow continental shelf. Nature's blueprint simply did not support a natural bridge there, no matter how severe the ice ages became. As human civilizations emerged, the Mediterranean Sea became a highway of culture, trade, and warfare instead of a barrier. Egyptians, Phoenicians, Greeks, Carthaginians, and Romans sailed across it long before they ever dreamed of engineering a bridge. The sea connected societies through boats and ships, shaping a world where water travel dominated. Had a land bridge existed, the history of migration, empire building, and cultural exchange between Africa and Europe would have been dramatically different. Instead, the sea remained a natural gateway, sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent, but always influential. In modern times, scientists understand that Africa continues to move slowly toward Europe, closing the Mediterranean by a few centimeters every year. Millions of years in the future, the continents may collide fully, lifting new mountains and transforming the sea into a dry valley. But even then, any natural bridge would not appear as a flat path. It would likely become a rugged zone of uplifted terrain shaped by tectonic compression. Today, humans have the technology to imagine artificial megastructures across the Mediterranean, but nature never provided such a path on its own. So the reason there was never a land bridge between Africa and Europe is rooted deep in Earth's geological design. The continents came close but collided in ways that produced mountains and deep basins instead of shallow land. Sea levels rose and fell, but never low enough to expose a continuous path. The Mediterranean remained a sea, not a corridor of dry land, shaping millions of years of biological evolution, human migration, and world history. What separates Africa and Europe is only a narrow span of water today, but behind that small distance lies a powerful story of tectonic forces, ancient seas, and the ever-changing face of our planet.